And what comes to her mind is like, if am I okay? Is it something normal in a woman? Probably not to have the desire, the true desire to have children.
I am Lucia Gallegos, and this is Flowers in Winter.
Hello again, my name is Lucia Gallegos and I'm a registered psychotherapist, and I'm happy that you're here in this podcast, Flowers in Winter, a podcast where I talk about women's and mental health, and I'm happy that you're here. Today I will be talking about motherhood ambivalence. What is that? However, before I dive in this topic, and a really interesting topic, it's important to let you know, to remind you that this podcast is for informational purposes only. If you feel that you would like to get some guidance, please seek professional guidance of a mental health professional. So this topic came to my mind because I've seen it a lot in my practice, and not only my practice, but I also seen it when I'm talking with friends, when I'm talking with colleagues, with family members, making a decision on having or not having children. And this decision could be really stressful. Let me give you an example, and I'm going to be clear here. I'm using fictional names in order to provide you an example of really how it looks like, right? On one side, we have Laura. She feels comfortable with her career. She does not feel a strong desire to have children. However, she somehow feels guilty or kind of feels confused about having or not having children. And what comes to her mind is like, if am I okay? Is it something normal in a woman? Probably not to have the desire, the true desire to have children, or what would happen in the future if I decide not to, and later I would like to have children and I will be lonely, and so on, right? And on the other hand, we have Ariana. And Ariana, she has the strong desire to become a mother. That's simply that she can feel it and see it in her life. But also the fear comes when thinking about, what if I have children and I'm not independent and I'm not able to do many things that I can do now? Both women experience something really common when talking about motherhood ambivalence, fear of regretting. And that's a strong fear. So let's kind of explore it little by little, but just to have an idea what exactly I'm talking about here. And if you feel related with any of these examples, because sometimes for women, some of them might have a clear decision on saying, yes, you know what, I've decided I'm not going to have children, and that's something that I've always known, and that's my decision. On the other hand, other women, they explore and they identify that, yes, motherhood is there, and I always wanted to be a mother. Motherhood ambivalence is that part not clear in between, where a woman feels conflicted about making the right choice. Kind of like hearing different voices, external and internal, that make that decision really hard, and most of the time creates anxiety or fear or sense of feeling lost or guilt or shame. So it's important to identify that every decision a woman makes is really valid. I'm talking here only about women. I'm not talking in a way of like a couple, or I'm not talking about in terms of men. I'm talking here about women because that's the area of my specialty, that come with this stress to therapy and trying to see, is it something wrong with them? Because that's the first thing that I identify. Is there something wrong with me? Because, a part of myself feels comfortable not having children, but a part of myself at the same time is questioning my decision and questioning if I'm doing the right thing. And could be the same on the flip side, right? Part of myself feels like I want to have children, but a part of myself feels like, what if I regret later about that decision? And let's start with fear of regret. This is so common and so uncomfortable. And most of the time, I can see women do not talk about it, and they have to deal with this alone. In some cases, some of my clients, they've expressed that they fear there will be social or family reactions, like rejection, when coming with this question, do I want to be a mother? Or, am I gonna be a good mother? Because feeling like if they express that, it's gonna make them feel like they're not strong enough, or that they're egocentric, or thoughts like that make them feel even more stressed. And regret is something that appears when we are kind of in between or making a decision that feels ambivalent, like in this case, motherhood. So yes, I mean, I'm not going to be able to tell you, oh, you know what? You're not going to feel it. I'm going to tell you, you're probably going to feel it. And that's probably going to be part of your own process. But there is a big difference about identifying that you are in the middle of this uncertainty and exploring and being able to find clarity, to just say, I'm going to stay here and I'm not going to talk about it. And it's difficult to talk about it. So here is an invitation for you to be more open and to find those network, those connections where you feel comfortable about bringing this question to the table. That is going to be really helpful. And when I say looking for good connections, I mean people with whom you can feel comfortable talking about this topic. Just keep in your mind and in your heart that regret is a natural part of making choices in life. And I will say it again, it's uncomfortable, but it's something that we all have to go through it. It's about how we decide to go through it that could make the difference. And also, let's kind of explore when there are these differences between the external expectations, probably family, society, or partner, on internal expectations. Like, which one are you hearing the most? What is it that you inner truth really want? And that probably making that decision is gonna make you feel the fear of regretting. I say it again one more time because it's not that will go away probably, but that you can somehow, in spite of feeling that, to be confident with your decision. And I have some questions for you that you may ask to start kind of like exploring. This is just to start exploring. And I always say, if it's this question, any of these questions brings something inside you that you want to explore more, well, look for professional advice, someone who can help you to go through it. But some of the questions, and I wrote it down, and I'm going to read them out to you. So if you can pause anytime and listen to them and just go and grab something that you can write down your thoughts and your feelings, and just notice how your body is also feeling when responding and when to listening to these questions, because that's going to provide you with information, vital information. So number one, do you truly want children or feel pressure by others? Then number two, if you do not have children, will you feel lonely? Or if I have children, will I lose freedom? Just go on and try to see what you get there from out of these questions and identify what feelings came. It's a good way to start knowing yourself and to kind of go deep to find your true self. And I think it's also important and it will be helpful for you to explore your own narrative. What do I mean by that? Exactly what does it mean for you to have children, or child-free couples, or child-free woman, or being a parent? What comes with that? Making the decision, what's behind that? I'm going to give you an example. In my case, for instance, kind of like a part of the previous narrative that I had is okay, you're born, you grow, you go to school, you start working, you get married, you become a mother, you have children, then you get old, and that's life. That's the narrative. Part of the life was to be a parent at what point, right? That's just to give you an example of how's your narrative. What happens when you talk to someone who decided not to have children? Or what happens with you when you're talking to someone who decided strongly to have children? Or what happens with you when you talk with someone who was in a similar situation that you are now, who was able to make a decision? And how was that process? And having that in mind, understanding your own narrative, I'm going to give you these questions so you can continue with this exploration. What does motherhood mean to you beyond social expectation? That's one question. Then how do you envision your life in 5, 10, or 20 years from now? And what legacy do you want to leave behind? Just to give you an example of these questions to explore to let you know also that if you feel conflicted, there is fear of regret. It's nothing wrong about you. That's expected. Just having your mind that before women, we did not really have that option. Being a mother was part of our biological, social, and family cycles. That was part of what the narrative was. Currently, there is that opportunity. It's a beautiful opportunity. So every woman, we can make that decision. There is like a different ways that you can find a clear path. Now, if you feel like, you know what, yes, I kind of feel conflicted, but also this is affecting my life. What do I mean by that? I feel anxious, I cannot sleep, I feel angry, or I feel depressed, or this is affecting my mood, or this is affecting my daily activities. That probably is a sign that therapy could be good for you, because this is affecting nowadays, this is affecting more your life. So working together in a therapeutic environment with someone who can hear you and listening to you, that makes a big difference. It's nothing wrong about you having those symptoms, but it's more like, oh, your body is telling you that there is an area of opportunity for you to work on this situation. So I hope you like and enjoyed this episode. I was so happy to and eager to talk about it. And also don't forget to go to my website to read different blogs that I have on women's and mental health. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, my social media, Lucia Therapy, and see you next time.
Flowers in Winter is a podcast by Lucia Gallegos, music by Rosy Cervantes. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook as Lucia Therapy.